Hey, what's up everyone? Today we have some good news and some bad news. The CEO has confirmed that more updates are coming soon. He also addressed questions about reversing some of the recent nerfs. On top of that, the devs are planning on nerfing another stratagem. Yeah, no kidding, another nerf is on its way very soon. Additionally, there's a game-breaking bug that's corrupting players' saves, and there's so much more to talk about. If you want to support the channel, please hit the like button below, subscribe, and make sure to turn on notifications. What we have first is something I think a lot of players have missed, and that's the fact the developers mentioned in the previous notes that they were planning on nerfing the laser drone, better known as the Guard Dog Rover. As you can see in patch 01.001.002, it says at the very bottom, Guard Dog Rover does not overheat when firing continuously. This comes as a shock to me that there's a problem with it now, since we've all been using it for quite some time. If you are a huge fan of using this specific drone, expect a big change possibly in the next patch. You know, I don't think this is going to go well for the developers, considering the backlash they're receiving is due to nerfing weapons. I'm actually waiting for them to address the scythe and confirm that the burning was not intentional, considering they have not addressed it in the recent hotfix notes or in the escalation of freedom patch notes. Overall, the next patch might include this big change for the drone. Some could argue this isn't a nerf, however, I feel it is, considering it's a stratagem loved by so many and has been functioning this way for quite some time, or actually just for a while now. Yet now there's a problem with it. If you're currently using this stratagem, let me know below how you feel about this change by posting your response in the comments. On a related note, the CEO has confirmed that we can expect more updates between now and then. The post can be seen here over on X. Shams wrote, "For clarity, we will absolutely be dropping updates to the game throughout the 60-day window and beyond." And also mentioned this on the Helldivers 2 official Discord, where Shams posted this message, "This doesn't mean we'll do nothing and then in 60 days something big comes. We'll be doing stuff between now and then." So the next update could arrive at any moment. Can we expect another update next week? I doubt it, but honestly it's quite possible. Plus, the team is still on vacation. However, the CEO claims there will be a full team operational in about 2 weeks. Here's his response. "We get about 6 weeks of vacation per year, meaning have vacation saved from previous years as well. And we get about 480 days of paternity leave per child." Yes, 480, you read that right. So Swedish summer vacations are quite long. People are trickling back to the office, and we can expect to be fully armed and operational in the next 2 weeks. But some folks were out in May, others June, then a lot in July and some in August. School is closed between June 15th and August 15th. I'm not using this BS excuse, just to be transparent and give you insight. Next summer we'll plan differently, but again, I started just 2.5 months ago. My question is whether this will make a difference overall in the next patch. I understand that the team wasn't operating at full capacity, but we've seen some changes in the past when they were. It's difficult to tell if things were improved before or if they've always been the same. The recent justified backlash they've received makes it even harder to predict if anything will change. In one of the previous videos, the CEO admitted that things fell through the cracks because 30% to 50% of the studio was on vacation. The good news is that next year things should be different. As he mentioned, they would schedule breaks differently. Anyway, we'll see what exactly happens here in the next 2 weeks. The developers are aiming to do better, but we'll see how they deliver the next few patches. With that said, I do have some good news about assault rifles. There's a player that asked this on the Helldivers 2 official Discord. At Shams Georgiani, is there anything in the works regarding assault rifles? For a lot of us, they are extremely poor right now and desperate need of some love. And his response was, yes, we called out primary specifically in the post. The post he's referring to is the game director's message from yesterday, where he discusses improving primaries. Apparently the assault rifle is specifically slated for some changes. I'm eager for this, but also trying not to get too excited because who knows how the game will be in 60 days from now. Speaking of weapons, there's a member on the Discord that essentially asked why there was not a Flamethrower Revert change. Shams responded with, "Changes are coming, but a straight up revert wouldn't have worked due to a bunch of interconnected systems, if I remember correctly." Now the CEO, he tried to explain it further in another post, but noted that this question is best answered by the developers. However, he did reply to a member who asked if he could provide more clarity on what might break, and his response was, "It really should be the devs who expand on this. I don't fully know the details, but it's not just a bunch of stats on the flamethrower. It's particle systems, collision boxes for enemies, etc. Those other changes were needed for other fixes. As you can see, it's basically impossible to do so without breaking the weapons and stats, which absolutely makes sense. Right now, they're in the process of reworking the flamethrower changes because the CEO responded to another player and said, quote, "It's not as simple as that, but we'll rework the flamethrower," end quote. This right here, it's going to take some time because they also need their team to test the patch and ensure everything is greenlit before they can release it. The only issue with that is if the next update breaks something else. And you know, I think we all can agree their team doesn't excel at testing patches, but you know, I guess it's best to stay positive rather than negative about it, right? Anyways, Shams Georgiani was asked about the Viper Commando, SPM, and Mechs, to which the CEO replied, "Those are bug fixes we'll be looking at. Not only will they be adjusting the flamethrower, but also the Warbonds, Mechs, and much more. It would be nice to see the Plaz 101 receive a faster charge buff, but as I mentioned earlier, we'll see how things go when it comes down to them actually testing the patch out." Since we're on the topic of testing, someone asked the CEO this right here. At Shams Georgiani, is there an actual testing team being assembled at Arrowhead, or at least in the plans? Seems like a troll question or someone that's maybe clueless, I don't know. But this is what the CEO had to say in response. "We've had a QA embedded in the dev teams and worked with external teams. We've done this forever." So they definitely test the patches, it's just a matter of how thoroughly they're tested on higher difficulties, and most importantly, how long they're tested. I believe addressing this would resolve many of our questions about certain missions, enemies like the Impaler, or even weapons that aren't properly tested. Speaking of which, Shams was questioned about the testing because this player said, "But if there is embedded QA, how do those bugs reach the live patch?" Shams replied back and said, "No QA in the world catches all the bugs, my man. I think we should do better though." Is he wrong? No, he's not. I mean, there are several amazing games out there that have had their fair share of bugs, but I think the difference here is that we're noticing more issues than improvements in Arrowhead's patches. If they don't test these next few patches thoroughly, and the update comes with even more problems than before, they're probably going to face even more backlash just for that reason alone. And you know, I'm not here just to criticize the developers because that doesn't make sense, especially since I love playing the game and want to see it succeed, but I won't lie to you all and say things are perfect when they're clearly not, because it's evident that's not the case. Now, the community manager has also informed us that the feedback they've received is not just from the submissions from the Discord, but also from various other sources. For instance, the CM Baskinator said, "We absolutely don't get most of our feedback from Discord. We use feedback across Reddit, social platforms, Discord, our Sony user research, etc." This right here is somewhat good news because it means they're not just relying on the Discord for all the answers and suggestions, but they're also taking a look at the Discord, possibly YouTube, maybe other, places, especially, their own sources like PlayStation. But this is good news because they're actually looking into some of those other areas to see if everything matches up and if everything, if we're all sharing the same opinions, basically. With that aside, we do have to talk about the latest patch because if you guys do not know, yesterday's hotfix actually did not fix the crashing entirely. Instead, there's more crashing going on. Some players are talking about picking up weapons and crashing. One of you in the comments actually talked about it, but someone on Reddit said this right here. "Crashing on PS5. I don't know if this is a PS5 only issue or maybe it's just a me issue, but on Impossible, the game keeps crashing. I've attempted 5 rounds and 2 halfway through, and the other 3, when Eagle 1 was called, the game crashes." Then there's another player here that said, "Game broke on PS5, was just joining a game in my help pod on my way down when the game crashed. Tried to start it again, but just get a black flickering screen. Restarted the PS5, but still just a black flickering screen after the Helldivers 2 logo when I try to play. This sucks." And then another player in the same exact thread said, "Same here." So this means not just one player is experiencing it, there's possibly more players out there that now have a broken game, essentially. They cannot actually access the game at all. And this makes the situation for Arrowhead way worse than it was before, because it's okay to have a few nerfs, a few crashing here and there, but if the game overall is not starting back up, there's an issue right there. Potentially they have a game that's bricked, I guess. Is that possible? Can you actually get a bricked game? But yeah, they now have a bricked game. Now before I go forward, I do want to give you guys one more piece of evidence here, because this player said the game stopped working. The game has crashed a few times in the past, but it's acting crazy now. I'm playing on PS5, it kicked me out of the game, then froze, so I restarted it. After it showed Helldivers 2 logo, it would go to an all black screen for over 10 minutes, so I deleted it and re-downloaded app. Now after the logo, it's infinitely loading saying checking for save data and cloud storage. This just happened to me right now. Is this happening to anyone else currently? Does anyone have a fix? Are the devs doing maintenance? What's going on? Edit, it went from infinitely loading to saying can't download your save data. This is probably the craziest stuff I've ever heard in the last few days from Arrowhead, and it's starting to seem like Arrowhead is starting to kill their own game, unintentionally or intentionally. I'm not even sure what the heck's going on over there. So if you guys have been experiencing this infinite loading black screen, let me know in the comments below, and let's get this video some exposure. Absolutely subscribe, share this video out, because I want to try to get this video out there as best as possible so that this can be resolved. Now, why is this? Why would there be so many issues if they're properly testing things? Well, it might be because they're actually running on a discontinued engine. This right here was reported on 80.lv, and they said, brought to our attention by lead game developer Andy Touch. It turns out that the second installment in the Helldivers series is powered by the same engine as the original 2015 game. With that being said, BitSquid, known in its later years as Autodesk Stingray. So yeah, they built Helldivers 2 on a discontinued engine, meaning it's not receiving updates, the engine that is. It's not receiving any additional features. It's basically not receiving squat here, guys. And that is crazy to think that they built a game on an old engine that's not going to receive any support. And I'm going to use common sense here. At least I think it's common sense. So if I were to develop a game and I had the brains to do so, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't use a discontinued engine to build a freaking game that potentially could receive a lot of revenue, right? It's insane. It seems like just a stupid decision, and I'm not trying to blast Arrowhead here, but this has got to take the cake, guys. Also, if you're wondering what other games were used with this engine, Warhammer End Times, Vermintide, Warhammer Vermintide 2, and a bunch of other ones, and even the original Helldivers game, as I mentioned. So those are just some examples, and it's a 2015 engine, which is just crazy. Anyways, what I would like to know is your thoughts on this. What do you think about the black screen issues? What do you think about the old engine? Let me know your response down below in the comments. Also, while you're at it, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and let's try to get this video out there and just try to get as much exposure as possible. And if you guys have not done so already, share this video out and just do it as best as possible, because again, we're trying to get this fixed as soon as possible. Now, before I end the video, for whatever reason, the developers have decided to stop us from talking to the NPC on the right side of the destroyer for whatever reason. So not only did they nerf our weapons, they also nerfed the NPC from talking to us. I mean, that's quite a dramatic change. I guess she was talking too much. Too much meta there, I'm telling you guys. So yeah, if you're wondering why you cannot talk to the NPC on the right side, that is why. The developers have chosen to do this for whatever reason, and she's, as of right now, inaccessible. So with that being said, this is your Helldivers 2 news. If you guys have any questions about today's video, let me know down below in the comments. And we're now going to go over the top 3 comments from the previous video. If you guys would like to be featured in the next video, all you have to do is comment down below. The first comment is by John Fuller 4491. I'm a bit pessimistic about this update. We've been here before and they said the same thing. Actions speak louder than words. The second comment is by Headbanger59. Arrowhead, what matters most now is action, not talk. Also Arrowhead, re-examine this, rethink that, reprioritize that. Bruh, don't rethink, just redo. And last but not least, we have Baron von Krogenstein 5310, if I pronounce that right. This player said, we agree what matters most now is action, not talk. So anyways, here's some talk. With that said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.